You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K23. That's right, 2K22. Now we're on to 23. Make sure you hit the link in our description to get your pre-orders. You guys, if you follow me on Insta, TikTok, you saw me getting scanned into the game.
But they follow you on where?
Instagram, TikTok.
We is that what they call it now? Insta?
Insta.
They don't call
IG.
it the gram, no?
We on IG, Insta, the gram.
Oh, they call it the Insta.
Now it's all about TikTok. Now you see, BJ, I got to get you on. We on about TikTok right now.
I'm good.
If you guys follow me on there, you may have seen me getting scanned into the game. See, BJ, I never made it to the league, but I'm ticking off my bucket list of everything I can do that NBA players do. Aside from being in the league, maybe one day I'll get there. But I'm scanning the game now, just like your favorite players. They took me to the room with the 360 cameras. They got me involved, so you're gonna see me in there. Go ahead.
Well, I was with a friend recently, and he was like, "Hey man, hey, I love the podcast." I was like, "Oh," and he was like, "Yo, in our house." We got a nickname for you guys. I was like, you got a nickname for you guys. I was like, who are you talking about? He was like, Mo, the guy you do the podcast, the Hoop Genius podcast. I was like, what's the nickname? And his wife was like, don't say it. So
what's the nickname?
So they call us the Terrible Twos. They say
oh man.
I said, why you got it? He said, because you guys, I don't know if you're making fun of each other, you're making fun of us. He just said, you guys are terrible because you're just having too much fun.
Hey, it's so
they call us the Terrible Twos here in the States. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the Terrible Two is here for you on your airwaves every day. We're coming through nice and early every morning. Make sure you're subscribed because BJ, we got to talk about some basketball. We got the season coming up. The off season's flying by, man. We're already halfway through July. Woo. Before you know it, we can be back in training camp. The season's right around the corner, but there's still moves to be made across different rosters. And of course, the one team that everyone loves to talk about all of the time, even when there's no action going on. And we haven't seen them play for months because they didn't even make the play in, let alone the playoffs. But that is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, our friend of the show, Chris Haynes, has been active breaking down news stories. He's saying, first and foremost, Russell Westbrook has not demanded a trade, which obviously makes sense. He's in his hometown of LA. He loves it over there. But he also said the three superstars, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, shared a phone conversation with each expressing their commitment to one another and vowing to make it work. Now, BJ, we see a lot of stories about Russell Westbrook and they're saying he's going to be traded for Kyrie Irving. And then even today, a rumor broke out that if the Knicks can get Donovan Mitchell, they're going to trade for Russell Westbrook as well, because apparently they'd want 3-point guards on massive contracts on their roster. I don't know how to feel about that, but I need to get your perspective. I got to get your perspective on this before we talk about the Knicks again. Now, obviously, Russell. And you obviously know Russell's agent, or now former agent, who he's recently cut ties with. Can you explain to our listeners here why that might have happened? What the logic is? Because Russ has been with him, if I'm not mistaken, since he came into the league, right?
That's correct.
So can you take us behind the curtain a little bit and explain a little bit about why players might decide to change their agents and what this could potentially mean for him staying in LA, leaving LA, or what it might be leading to?
Well, in this business, player agent representation business, it's a very volatile business. Probably the norm is, wow, a player stays with an agent for 14 years. Very rarely does that happen. It's a very volatile business. It's a business where there's a lot of changeover. So when you see a long-term relationship like that, you don't see it often. So in taking you behind the curtain, why does that happen? Well, normally what happens is you'll get to a space in your career. We all get to a space in our career as a player where you have to have people who are going to tell you the truth. But more importantly, you have to be comfortable with where you are in your career. You may come in as a player who, you want to get from the bench and you become a starter. Then once you become a starter, you want to become one of the top 2 or 3 guys on the team. And then you want to become an all-star. Then you may ascend to a level where Russell, suddenly he's the MVP. Well, on that ascension up, also you're going to have another ascension where you got to be comfortable where you at as you age in this business. And Father Time doesn't miss anyone. Okay, so where is Russell at now in his career? Well, the bottom line is winning. That's how you always evaluate players. Okay, you can put up stats, you can put up numbers, but in the end, where are you at as a player? And that's more times than not, you look at the winning. And right now, you could see that this Lakers franchise in particular, because there's only one goal. It's the Lakers and Boston only have one goal. Getting to the NBA Finals for the Boston Celtics and losing is a failure of a season.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
it's championship or bust.
Now, if you are the Sacramento Kings and you got to the NBA Finals, that may last you for 40 years.
Forever.
Okay. But for the Celtics, they're like, we got to the finals and we lost. That's not happening. For the Lakers, that's not happening. Now, what I see going on, if I could take you behind the curtain, Mo, is the following. I wanted to say that because I want to have the context to what you just asked. Okay, whatever happened between the agent and the player. That happens every day, all day, twice on Sundays. It happens all the time. The key is, what is Russell and players going to do when they're in year 14, 15, who've had as much success? He's not had much success. He's had a Hall of Fame career.
Easily.
Okay. So when you are a Hall of Fame player, okay, and we've seen this movie over and over again. Okay, so Carmelo, Hall of Fame player.
Definitely.
Suddenly now, Carmelo took him a while to get there, but he's coming off the bench and he's figured out how to perform and contribute where he's at. I remember when Allen Iverson, you see this happen all the time with star players as they ascend. Maybe they're the first player, then by the end they're the fourth player, best player. Some they've moved to the bench.
Could even be a sixth man coming off.
Sixth man. Some they're moved to where they're the old head in the locker room.
I think Vince Carter did a great job of that, bouncing around the league for his 20-year career and finding different roles.
And in the end, here's the thing that we all face. I don't care if you're the greatest player ever or you're the guy who's the 12th guy on the bench. Okay. 99% of us, 99.9% of us who play in that league, Mo, are role players. This is a fact.
Yeah. They can only be a 99% superstars at any time.
Okay. Now, the key is, if you become a star, it'll be so obvious we won't debate it. Like, say what you want to. LeBron James is a star.
Yeah.
Giannis, star. Kevin Durant, star. Steph Curry, star. There's no debate here. Now, you can debate, how good he is, but you can't debate that clearly those guys have a talent that's a little head and shoulders above the other guys. But here's the thing that bothers me more than anything. All of us are role players. And what's wrong with being a star in your role? What's wrong with being a star in your role? Everyone can't be the star.
I often think about this. How different would the discourse around certain players be if fans and media didn't know the value of their contracts? Because I often see Russell Westbrook, for example, the fact that he's earning 40, whatever it might be, $1 million per year, the fans are expecting him to deliver to the level that maybe he was delivering when he signed the contract. without taking into consideration how things change. He's on a different team, it's a different fit, etc., etc. So if you had no idea of the level of contracts, I think fans and media's opinions of players might be slightly different. Would you agree with that?
I think what happens, everyone understands, as you know, more, I love hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of my favorite MCs would say, you must understand, the great Rakim, the mathematics of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone understands the numbers. Everyone understands the numbers. You may not understand basketball. You may not understand how to construct a team. You may not understand the rules and all of the sophisticated plays and all of that. But you can look at it and say, oh, this guy is making X amount of dollars. Well, if he's making the most money on the team, you would naturally say he should be one of, if not the best player on his team. And if he's making the most money in the league, he should be one of the best players. There has to be a reason, right?
Yeah.
That's just a natural thing to say. Now, the one thing, Mo, that I come to realize is there's two things that really you got to say the players have to embrace. They have to embrace the responsibility of being the top player or the highest paid player. Okay, you have to embrace the responsibility, and you have to hold yourself accountable to the following. You got to perform.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, Mo. Getting paid comes with responsibility and accountability. They go hand in hand. You can't get paid and be one of the highest paid players in the league and have no responsibility and no accountability. That's just the way this business goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way fans are talking about Russell Westbrook right now, they're talking about him as if he came and he put up 0 points in the whole season. That's the level of disrespect is getting way out of hand. Right.
Well,
now,
here is the thing. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that it's kind of like, I didn't deal with this as a player, so I really don't know. But I have an idea of, when I say deal with this, I didn't deal with social media. I didn't deal with all of that.
Yeah.
But here's one thing, Mo, I do remember. Playing in the NBA, I never forgot the humility for having an opportunity to do something I dreamed about doing my entire life. Mo has the right to say, as a fan, whatever he wants to say. But I also, every time I played, no one can take this away from me. I did the best I could. And I did it with great humility. Like, Mo, I wanted to make every shot, but I didn't make every shot. And I think what is going on, Mo, here is there seems to be a disconnect with the players today once you ascend to a certain level. It's kind of like I'm untouchable. Like, and I feel this energy, Mo. I feel this energy all the time because you play well, you play harder, you do the best you can, and then leave it. Just leave it. And the thing that I see right now is there's a huge disconnect with some of these players. But then I'll watch another star player like Steph Curry, and I think he gets it. Like, I watch him do things where I can identify with.
Well, here's the thing, though, with Russell Westbrook, he might not have had his best season on the court, stats-wise, but he still showed up, right? I read this earlier on Twitter. Someone said, imagine being the only employee showing up at your job every day, putting in 100% effort to carry an inexperienced staff missing its top 2 employees, leading your company in every data point, than taking 100% of the blame when your company comes in under projections. And that is essentially what happened, because Russell Westbrook, he put up 18 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists in 78 games for the Lakers. Only 4 other players put up 18, 7, and 7 last season or better. Nikola Jokic, James Harden, DeJounte Murray, and Luka Doncic. And then what I said this morning was only 8 players last season played over 78 games whilst playing over 30 minutes in each of those games. And Russell Westbrook was the only player over the age of 30 to do that. So although he might not have been scoring like he used to, and he might have been turning the ball over a little bit more, he's being blamed 100% for the Lakers' failures, when I don't believe that it is his fault that he was placed in a situation in which a team was not built to maximize his strengths, because that, okay, he's getting paid the max money and he might not be delivering to the standard of what you might think a max player should be held to. But if he was still in Oklahoma where he got paid the money, he would probably still be putting up the triple doubles and carrying them to wins and making them overachieve. But now, because he's bounced around the league and gone to Houston, then Washington, and now LA, the expectations have changed and everything is all a little bit different. He didn't sign up to be on this roster. So him taking all of the blame and everyone saying it's his fault that they missed the playoffs, et cetera, it's really not. And that's my point on Russell Westbrook, is that he still turns up and he still does his job in a league where there are players who make the same amount of money as him who don't even bother turning up.
Point well taken, Mo. But it works both ways. We justify our position by the numbers. And the numbers only work when you win the championship.
Yeah.
That's the only time they work.
To win the championship, you've got to show up. Like,
okay, you have to show up. That's one of
he's one of the few that actually shows up.
That's one of the requirements. But I'll start this off. I don't think this is a problem with Russell's effort. No one. This young man has played with tremendous effort his entire career. This isn't anything new. The fact that he played 78 games last year, and those 3 games or 4 games that he missed last year, a couple of them, they just probably set him out. No one's arguing any of that. When you live in the public eye, the public's eye, okay, there's a thing that only this will connect you with the public. I'm not saying it's right, Mo. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's with humility, you must live a very public life. For some reason, Mo, there's a disconnect. In particular, when you're talking about this particular player, because you can't argue whether he shows up. You can't argue whether he plays hard. You can't argue whether he's giving you effort. You can't argue his stats. You can't argue his career. So what is it, Mo? What is it? Like, you and I, what can you say? Like, Mo, you and I will talk about player X doesn't show up. Can't say that about him.
Mm-hmm.
You can't argue. Like, if you don't say Russell Westbrook and playing hard, you can't. Those two go hand in hand.
Facts.
So what is it, Mo? What it is the following. When I see Steph Curry, the MVP, waving his hand in the crowd like a million fans, he could buy probably the company who makes the t-shirts that's throwing the t-shirts.
When Steph was at Summer League supporting his teammates.
When Steph was at Summer League, there's some humility about that. And then he hands it to his son like every dad or parent tries to do when they go to the game. I'm like, here's a guy that's making X amount of dollars. It's not even about what he's making. It's the fact that I can identify with that.
Yeah.
And Mo, there's only one way. I'm not pretending to be a star player or anything like that. But let me tell you something. When you live in the public's eye, you better live with a certain amount of humility. And I just wish that Russell would do the following. And I don't know this, but I've seen many stars do this, whether they've been in movies, whatever business they've been. I've been around a lot of stars. Just be humble. Just do it with great humility. Russell, allow us to appreciate your career and let the chips fall where they may. And I guarantee you this narrative will change with just that, because
I don't see how he's not done that though. Like, he was at Summer League supporting the Lakers squad, and then apparently LeBron didn't even acknowledge him. And then people inside the Lakers organization said it was an awkward, intense moment between the two most high-profile stars. So he's there, sitting by the team bench, supporting his franchise's Summer League team too, just like Steph Curry was. Here is the thing, Mo. Here's the thing. With stardom and living in the public eye comes great responsibility. Yeah. Mo, there's the public persona that people know, and then there's the private that no one knows. That's just what it is. Yep. When you're in the public's eye, you have to live a public life. If I'm in an arena and Michael Jordan is on the other side, and let's just pretend for the sake of this conversation, I haven't spoken to him in 5 years, but I know he's on the other side of the court. And we could have had a fight 5 years ago. That's probably why we haven't spoken. Let's just pretend. You know what I'm going to do, Mo, in the public eye? You say, what's up? You must approach this public life with great humility. Because what you think is going on is always different from how it is. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they didn't, and it's none of my business. But what I do know, if I saw Mo in the gym right now, and let's pretend, Mo, which you and I know it would never happen, but let's say we had an argument. And I see the hoop genius, the guy I do a podcast with every day on the other side of the gym. Now, wouldn't that be a little odd, Mo, in the public forum that we wouldn't just give each other some dap and say, what's up? All right, man. Even in the private forum, I'm one to address the issue head on. You know what I'm saying? Because, Mo, you know me, real name, no gimmicks. I'm going to keep it real. So, Mo, private, public, this is what the camera sees. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Mo and I are going to talk this way when the camera is off, and we're going to talk this way when the camera is on. That's why we're always laughing. We're going to talk more trash when the camera's off. It was off. Exactly. This is what we do. That's why we're authentic, and we say this with great humility when we get on, because we're like, man, we get a chance to like be authentically ourselves here, and people rocking with us because we're just not faking. Now, I would hope as a leader of the team, he's one of the leaders. He's one of the best players in the NBA. Live that life with great humility. Live that life when the camera's on with great humility. That's what I mean by that. I don't care what's going on, Mo. Under no circumstances is any player that I played with anywhere, high school, college, little league, pro. Mo, you've seen me in a public forum. Mo, have you ever seen me just walk by somebody when somebody said what's up or whatever? No, BJ it takes us an hour. And he takes a picture with do you know how hard it is to try to go for dinner with BJ Armstrong? Listen, let me tell you, we try to get from the arena to the restaurant. And we got a reservation for 9 o'clock. We ain't getting there till 10:30 because every single person that comes up, oh, hey, man, you're my favorite point guard in the night. Oh, hey, man, I'm a huge fan of the Bulls. Oh, hey, every single person he stops. Mo, ask them about their life, takes a picture. You saw me say what's up to Gary Payton. You saw Jalen Rose. You saw all of these people. We embrace, you hug.
You live this life with great humility. I'm going to tell you where I learned it from, Mo. I learned that from Muhammad Ali, perhaps one of the greatest, most famous people to ever walk on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You live this life with great humility. Now, your private life, Mo, if you mad at whoever you mad at, you do you. That's none of my business. But in this life, Mo, now, if you want this public life to work, ladies and gentlemen, whether you Denzel Washington, whether you are, Jay-Z, whether you are Michael Jordan, you better be humble, my friend, and live this life in the public eye and cherish this moment, because Mo, it goes in an instant.
That's right.
It goes in an instant. And and when I watch Steph Curry, he lives his life with great humility. He may not be the person that he displays, but the fact that I think that the guy
you never
just
know.
Goes home and eats popcorn after a game, he gives you 40 and he just goes home and eats popcorn. You go, I can identify with that, Mo. I can identify with that.
I can identify more with the popcorn than the dropping 40 at this stage of my life. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, right? It was 40 degrees out here. That's like over 100 degrees for you. We're not built for that over in this country. You see, the buildings here are designed to keep heat in, not keep us cool. I went to go hoop today, and after about 20 minutes, I was drowning in a pool of sweat. So that dropping 40 is going to take some working on. But let's just circle back to Russell Westbrook for a second here. Your friend Mark Stein has said that the New York Knicks would like to explore trade scenarios to trade away Julius Randle if they can acquire Donovan Mitchell. A swap for Westbrook could help clear the remaining 3 years of Randle's initial 4-year, $117 million contract he signed last offseason after his All-Star campaign. Thoughts on a potential, I don't know how on earth it would work basketball-wise, how it would fit on the court, how it would make any sense, but Russell Westbrook, Jalen Brunson, and Donovan Mitchell backcourt for the New York Knicks.
Russell Westbrook, Jalen Brunson, and Donovan Mitchell. Do
you remember a few years ago where the Knicks were collecting power forwards? It looks like this year they're going to try and collect point guards like the Infinity Stones. They're just trying to get them all now.
Okay. I know people were saying that with the Knicks, but you could say power forwards. But I'm going to tell you what I said this then, and I'm going to say it now. This is a positionless league. The Knicks were in on positionless players, and everyone wanted to call them power forwards. Like, there's a value to Taj Gibson. There's a value to Julius Randle. There's a value to Bobby Portis. There's a value to, was it Marcus? Was it Marcus?
Morris.
Marcus Morris.
Was it Marquis?
Like, all of those, I mean, when you look back on it, those are all good players.
Well, when you look back on it, it was
good players.
It was good contracts.
All good players.
They were all good players, but you don't have enough minutes to play them all, and they can't all play together. But it was good business because they had them all on 1-year contracts to clear the cap space next year, right?
Oh, they had very
out,
serviceable players on all nice deals. Those were great deals. Those weren't good deals. Those were great deals, really good players, interchangeable parts. And then everyone was saying, "Oh, they got all power forwards." Wait, what league are y'all watching? Like, I was like, we're all talking about positions. There's no more positions.
But let's be honest. There's no way you're putting out a lineup where all 5 of those guys are on the court at the same time. There's no way on it. There's no way.
Okay. No, Mo. Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
I have a deep, dark fantasy of putting 5 7-footers on the floor.
None of them are 7 foot. None of them are 7 foot. They're all 6'9".
They're 6'9", 6'10". So we're getting closer.
One step at a time.
Closer. Yeah, we're getting closer. And you know what, Mo? I have this dark fantasy of putting 5 7-footers on the court.
I think that's sooner than you think that's actually going to materialize. I think that is much sooner than
I hope so. Because Mo, if I were as a GM, that's my goal. I want 5 7-footers, and we're going to do what's called a matchup switch. I'm just going to create a whole new defense. You just guard areas on the floor. You don't even worry about where the ball is at. I got 5 7-footers. I don't need to chase anybody around. You just guard this area.
The ultimate zone. The ultimate zone.
You just guard this area.
Let me ask you a question. Does the coach have to be 7'2"?
Absolutely.
So who's coach? Who's the tallest coach in the NBA? Is there any coach that's that tall in the NBA right now?
Can I tell you a secret, Mo?
Go ahead.
Can I tell you? Okay. I just want to. Our listeners are gonna know this. You know, Mo, it's very hard for someone to be like average height, like say 6'2" and below, and talk to somebody 6'10" or 7 feet.
Yes.
Mo, I'm just telling you. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Like,
it's
so it works because I'm like 6'2", right? It works for an interview. Okay. I can go and interview Yao Ming. Right. Okay. And it's fine because I'll tell them, bring some chairs out, we'll sit down, and we'll be kind of the same height sitting down on the chair. Okay. Even if we're standing up, it kind of works. But you can't be mad. I can't be mad at Yao Ming and shout at him because he's just going to look down. And when someone's looking that far down, you can't be mad at him. So, like, if you call a timeout, your team's playing rubbish, you can't call a timeout and shout at your players. Do you know what makes me laugh the most? Is when Jeff Van Gundy. Do you remember the fight? It was
the New York Knicks.
And Jeff Van Gundy is whose leg was he holding on to? Alonzo Mourning?
Alonzo Mourning.
He's holding onto his leg for dear life. I mean,
Jeff Van Gundy was coaching Yao Ming. Like,
yeah.
What are you gonna tell Yao Ming? Big fella. Like, let me teach you how to sit in the post. You know what I mean?
So who's coaching his team then? Who's the best, tallest coach? I know Tim Duncan's an assistant coach. Maybe Tim
Duncan is assistant. You know, I was watching last night. The Collins, Jaren. I get them mixed up. I always get
the twins
at New Orleans. Yeah, the twins, the Collins twins. I think that's Jason. I believe it's Jason. Excuse me if I'm wrong. I think it's Jason. Or
do you know who I think coach it? Patrick Ewing, coaching in Georgetown.
Patrick Ewing, I think absolutely. The way the game is played now, and when you have bigs, there's a connect. You know, it's one thing that I know this to be true. There are tall guys, and then there are big guys. The big guys are the true centers of this league. So let me tell you, let me make the difference. Porzingis is tall.
Mm-hmm.
Bol is tall. Mo Bamba is tall. Joel Embiid is a big.
He's got a presence, you know, just big.
Jokic is a big.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a big. Okay. Rudy Gobert is a big. Giannis is tall. Giannis is not a center.
No.
Giannis is not a center.
But Rudy
Gobert is not a Rudy Gobert is built as if he's tall. He's thin.
Yeah.
He's tall. But he's truly a center. He plays like a center.
What about Clint Capella?
Clint Capella is tall. He's not a big.
And how does he play differently to Rudy Gobert?
Rudy Gobert, his instincts is just to control the paint. Okay. When you watch Rudy Gobert play abroad, he actually gets big in the lane when he plays in Europe. And I always wonder why he doesn't do that in the NBA.
They even give him some post touches when he plays for France.
Yeah, no, it really is. Rudy Gobert. Now, he doesn't have a big body, though. See, that's the difference. He doesn't have a big body. Okay. Kevin Garnett was tall. Tim Duncan was a big. There's a difference. You understand?
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett was tall. Tim Duncan was a big. He played big. He bumped around a little bit.
Back to the basket more.
Basket a little
more
bit.
On the perimeter.
You understand? Giannis, that's what I'm saying. Giannis is a physical, tall player. That's a rare combination. Most tall guys don't play physical. That's what makes Giannis like, this don't look right. Because he's thin, got big shoulders, but he plays physical. but he doesn't play like a center. He's not like a guy, just hanging. He's not like Jokic. He's not like Joel Embiid. He's not like those guys. You follow me? But he's an interesting combination of a player. I mean, just very, very rare do you see that.
I'll tell you who else is a big Mo Muncy. He just needs to catch up on the hype part of it. But the rest of the game and the rest of the physique is all there.
Mo Muncy is a bit. Mo Muncy, if he was an NBA player, he's PJ Tucker.
I'm not even mad. I can't even mad because that's facts. Listen, I play defense and I'll hit my shots. I ain't calling it ISO. I'm gonna hit my shots. And if you're really lucky, I'm gonna post you up. I don't know if PJ still got that at this age in his
PJ,
bag,
you should could score now. Don't sleep on PJ. PJ, you should could score.
And he's got a shoe collection just like me. But that's been another episode. That's been another episode. I like that comparison. I'm gonna go practice some corner threes and we'll get it cooking. But that's been another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K23. If you haven't yet, hit the link in the description. Make sure you pre-order your copy and you can build your player on 2K. You could be tall, you could be a big, you could be whatever you want. And we're going to be right there with you. BJ, thank you once again. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Mo, your name in the States is the Terrible Twos.
The Terrible Twos. Oh, man. Sounds like a very poor modern NBA offense, but I digress. Just contested mid-rangers, the Terrible Twos. But anyway, my peoples, appreciate you listening. Tell your friends to tune in and rock with us if they like basketball too. Make sure you follow, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And most importantly, until next time, get buckets.